up, Tzu Chi volunteers in China organized a winter relief distribution in Shantou, Guangdong Province. We meet Ye Mengsi, who, in spite of the obstacles she faced in life, still lived life to the fullest. Welcome to DaAi Headlines. I'm Helen Liao. Thank you for joining us. In Guangdong Province, China, Tzu Chi volunteers recently organized a winter relief distribution in Shantou City. Touched by the Buddhist NGO's philosophy, a teacher of a local high school and his students happily offered assistance. A Tzu Chi volunteer happily sings with those waiting for their turn to receive relief items, including this octogenarian. To help residents get through the cold winter months, Tzu Chi volunteers have arrived with rice, cooking oil, blankets, clothing, and much more. Some residents came to the distribution venue on pedicabs to carry their aid home. In Shantou, Guangdong Province, Tzu Chi's winter relief distribution brings warmth to impoverished families in the form of relief supplies.
Tzu Chi's winter relief distribution is not only a charitable event, but also a rare opportunity for us to learn. We have learned so much from the organization. Tzu Chi not only provides needy residents with material aid, but also emotional support.
Xiao Mingsheng, a teacher at a local high school, and his students happily arrived at the distribution venue to contribute their time and strength.
I am extremely happy to have the opportunity to help others. It feels great to have the strength and ability to help the less fortunate.
Besides helping residents get their relief items, many youngsters are also on site recycling paper boxes.
平时在家里有做吗？有哈。那这一次是多早就起床了？5点半啊，很棒哦。
Thanks to the dedication of volunteers, this winter will surely be warmer for the needy families in Shantou. The recent flooding in Malaysia has given residents a wake-up call that forest conservation and respect for the environment should not be ignored. In Kuala Lumpur, Pahang, volunteers took the opportunity during a free clinic to promote environmental awareness and correct recycling practices. Also, a recycling point was established at a local school for residents to put these concepts into practice.
Truck after truck full of garbage is being transported out of this community in Kuala Lumpur. Everything from damaged furniture to broken electrical appliances has been discarded. How to turn crisis into opportunity? Volunteers came up with a plan. Here at the free clinic, volunteers seized the opportunity to promote environmental awareness and recycling practices to patients while they were awaiting to be seen by doctors.
My arm does hurt a little, but it's okay. I want everyone to be able to see which items can be recycled and which cannot.
A Tzu Chi recycling point has been established at a local school.
The volunteers told us that we shouldn't discard our paper and bottles. Instead, we should take them to the school for recycling. If we simply discard them, they will pollute the environment.
By simply doing a little extra to safeguard the planet, we can be protected against such threats in the future.
Since September of last year, Tzu Chi volunteers in Vietnam have been holding a series of scholarship distributions for impoverished students living in Hai Dun Province, Thanh Hoa District. Recently, volunteers returned once again, offering scholarship support.
The sun rises later than usual during the winter in northern Vietnam, and temperatures hover around the single digits. However, Tzu Chi volunteers from Guangdong Province braved the cold to set out for Thanh Hoa District at the crack of dawn, where they will be distributing scholarships at 4 local schools.
We hope that each child may grow up in a great environment, work hard, and abide by the rules. We also hope that they may grow up to become good citizens and give back to society in the future.
Of the 63 provinces in Vietnam, Guangdong Province is a relatively impoverished region. Hence, in September of 2014, Tzu Chi volunteers held their first series of scholarship distributions to help disadvantaged students.
Tzu Chi volunteers' warmth has motivated these children to study harder this past year. They have all become diligent and conscientious students.
Tzu Chi scholarships have made it possible for these students to continue their studies despite their circumstances. Volunteers also shared how children living in poverty in China's Gansu province had no choice but to write with 1 centimeter pencil stubs due to the scarcity of resources there. At the end of the distribution, volunteers wrapped hand-knitted scarves around students' necks, hoping this warmth and love can accompany them through the winter months ahead.
Next, we travel to Taiwan to meet a couple of farmers who are improving the country's agriculture industry by embracing new farming methods and equipment.
Su Zongzhe of Shanghua, Tainan, looks on with a smile as a contractor harvests his ripe soybean field. The old farmer was at first worried that no one would take on the family business, but fortunately his 30-year-old son, Su Jianjun, decided to give it a try.
If young people only want to get into the high-tech industries, sooner or later, the traditional industries will face a shortage of workers. Hearing my son wanted to come back, I invested in heavy equipment. If he decides to quit later, I will be in trouble.
To help make farming easier for his son, who majored in optoelectronics, Su Zongzhe purchased new farming equipment, which cost him a fortune. The pair even began to adopt sustainable farming methods and leased more land to grow soybeans.
Before, we tried to offer the lowest price, but now we provide lab reports on our crops because we want consumers to know just how we grow our crops, so they can be assured of the quality of the food they eat. We started promoting our soybeans last year and have landed several contracts. Some we save for my son to sell online, while some are sold through shops in New Taipei City.
Though being a farmer is harder than he imagined, Su Jianjun applies the technical know-how he learned in school and has established himself as a reputable soybean supplier. Over in Jiali, Tainan, personnel from the Livestock Research Institute have brought several species of wheat for Su Rongcan to experiment with in his field.
There isn't a lot of wheat in Taiwan, so I'm working with the Livestock Research Institute to see whether it is possible to create a wheat granary here.
Various grain crops are being experimented with here on Su's farm, as he believes that Taiwan must be able to cultivate and customize seeds if the country is to set itself apart agriculturally in international competition.
A good seed is the beginning of a good future, so I invest a lot of my time and effort in seed cultivation to grow seeds that can better adapt to the local climate.
Su comes from a long line of contract farmers. He has personally witnessed the rise and fall of Taiwan's farming industry and how farmers blindly abused fertilizers and pesticides in hopes of a good harvest. 26 years ago, he decided to start his search for non-genetically modified crops that are suitable to grow in Taiwan.
You must try to specialize and develop your uniqueness. That way, you won't be afraid of competition, because localized varieties will give you an advantage. If you don't work on strengthening yourself, then you will just be overwhelmed.
Su is very worried that the country relies heavily on imported grains. Over the past 2 decades, he has customized farming equipment to help small farmers. He also advocates sustainable farming and has already bred several customized crops in hopes of increasing the country's self-sufficiency rates on grain food.
Recently in Taiwan, a 58-year-old Indonesian Chinese woman traveled to Hualien to seek treatment for her hip pain. This patient looked for a solution to help her degenerative condition in both Indonesia and Malaysia, but to no avail. It was through the help of Tzu Chi volunteers that she finally knew where to turn to for help.
In the past, Wu Meiyuan from Indonesia had difficulty walking.
It hurt a lot. Sometimes when walking, my body would become really crooked and I'll have to use a crutch for support. I could walk, but if I walked for a long time, it hurt a lot.
Suffering from degenerative joint disease and rheumatoid arthritis in her hip, Wu sought medical solutions in both Indonesia and Malaysia to no avail, before finally getting a tip from Indonesian Tzu Chi volunteers that perhaps Hualien, Taiwan is where she needed to go.
The patient's situation was more severe because the treatment was delayed. Some of the cartilage had thinned, and it added to the pain. This also meant that during the operation, the surgery would have a higher level of difficulty.
Though the operation was more difficult compared to others, the day after surgery, Mrs. Wu was still able to walk about on her own.
Thank you for helping me with this. The doctors here are very nice, as well as the nurses. I am very satisfied with everything.
Tzu Chi Hospital's medical staff's attention to detail gives even patients from overseas a sense of trust, as they can rest easy knowing they are in good hands.
In 2014 alone, team of volunteers in Jordan have organized 5 dental clinics across the country, acknowledging all the humanitarian work Tzu Chi has done to help not only the local people but refugees as well. Prince Hassan bin Talat of Jordan hopes to promote and spread the spirit of volunteerism in the country. Recently, volunteers were invited by Prince Hassan to share Tzu Chi's ideals as well as their work at home and abroad to an international NGO and the El Hassan Youth Award Scheme.
Transcending all religious boundaries, Tima doctors bring love to the sick and suffering. Prince Hassan bin Talal of Jordan called on Tzu Chi volunteers to give a presentation of the organization's humanitarian efforts in the country. At the same time, an international NGO, the Human Relief Foundation from the UK, as well as the Al Hassan Youth Award Scheme were also invited to take part. Team of volunteers provided free dental checkups for local Jordanians as well as Syrian refugees.
They don't have any near center for like health centers. They have to go far away to do their teeth. So it was a good opportunity for them to fix them. And hopefully we'll come back again here and continue the work.
The love of volunteers and Tima doctors inspired a local dentist to provide free dental checkups on a weekly basis. In a joint collaboration, Tima members from Taiwan's Northern District joined hands with Tima in Jordan to serve the sick and suffering.
It's the first time for me, and I'm a lucky man to join such people in such organization. They came here to help our people, and it's for us supposed to help you work together for the best of our people here. So I'm very proud and very happy to join you on this mission.
Tima volunteers' footprints of love span across the desert nation. Prince Hassan hopes that this spirit of volunteering and commitment to serving others will create a ripple effect of kindness that will spread to all corners of Jordan.
Ye Mengsi of Shenzhen, Guangdong, China used to live happily with her husband and daughter. Unfortunately, last year, her life was turned upside down. Following an argument, Ye's husband decided to set Ye on fire, leaving 95% of her body severely burned. Without the ability to pay for Ye's medical fees, her family sought help from society. Upon receiving the news, Tzu Chi volunteers decided to take the family under their wing. 24-year-old Ye Mengsi used to be a beautiful young lady. Unfortunately, her life was turned upside down following a tragedy last year. After an argument, Ye's husband cruelly set her on fire. The fire burned 95% of Ye's body, leaving only her scalp untouched. Due to the large medical expenses, Ye's brother sought help from society. After learning of the family's plight, Tzu Chi volunteers reach out with a helping hand.
Tzu Chi volunteers came and provided my daughter with physical and emotional support. The volunteers also guided and encouraged us to think positively. In fact, when my daughter was still in the hospital, my family and I felt hopeless.
包括就是说我们这小就最说实话，在医院的时候，那时候是说可以说很无助的时候。
Over the course of the treatment, Tzu Chi volunteers were there offering assistance whenever needed. Now slowly recovering from her injury, Ye decided to share her story with those attending the year-end blessing ceremony in Shenzhen.
I will be strong and live life to the fullest. I hope that I can recover from my injury as soon as possible because I want to join Tzu Chi. I want to become a volunteer and help the less fortunate.
Ye says her daughter gives her the courage to stay strong. Although the fire took away Ye Mengsi's beauty, it has inspired her to be stronger and live life to the fullest. As year-end blessing events happen across Taiwan, next we take a look at two real-life stories of inspiration. One is of a former Tzu Chi care recipient who didn't have the money to pay for her utility, but is now a Tzu Chi member who is able to help the less fortunate. Another is one daughter upholding her promise to her now deceased father.
爸爸要走的时候，我曾经在他耳朵边。
Before my father passed on, I said to him that as long as I am healthy, I will do good deeds on his behalf and help those in need in society.
代替他去帮助社会上需要帮助的人。
Inspired by the devastating 2008 Wenchuan earthquake, Zhang Yanyu began walking the Tzu Chi path, but was sidetracked by her father's cancer. Taking care of him until his last days, Zhang only returned to Tzu Chi 2 years ago.
I see that she's filled with joy. Even if she's tired, her smile remains and she works hard to finish the task at hand. I think she has gained much wisdom in these past few years.
一样是笑笑的。
Fired from her job, Zhang seized her days with vigor by waking up early to watch Master Zhenyin's teachings and teaching other people how to use electronic items. Zhang's love for capturing the perfect image also led her to become a Tzu Chi media volunteer.
A photography volunteer isn't just only clicking the shutter button and capturing an image. When you are moved, others will be moved by your photo as well. When you have touched others, then you have successfully passed on the Master's Dharma.
当你感动到别人的时候，你已经间接的把上人的法传给那所有的人。
Now officially part of her bigger Tzu Chi family, Zhang's determination, along with her heart, will never waver from the Bodhisattva path again. Meanwhile, in Keelung, despite the rain, Jiang Su-qing goes out to collect recyclables to sell to help make ends meet. But at times, it's not enough to pay for her utilities.
去他家的时候，
When we first visited her, we saw she used candles for light. How do the children do their homework then? She said, inside a library or at a friend's house.
到同学家。
Jiang's husband was injured in a workplace accident, which drove him to seek comfort in alcohol. The global financial crisis put the family's finances in even worse shape.
他说水的部分呢
She said to solve her water problem, she washes her clothes by the river. If she needs to wash her hair, she also does it there as well.
Thankfully, Tzu Chi volunteers were notified of their situation. First, the volunteers assisted Jiang's husband in seeking medical attention, then helped the couple find jobs.
I am very grateful for the stability in my life. I am not seeking fortune or fame. I am very content for the days I have now. Thank you for your assistance.
With such security and the husband's sobriety returning, the couple is turning a new page in life. their son's New Shoot Scholarship ceremony, the husband and wife pair brought their filled bamboo coin bank to reciprocate the love they have received.
In Europe, Tzu Chi volunteers in Germany recently organized the first year-end blessing ceremony of the year in Düsseldorf. To assist her counterparts, Tzu Chi volunteers Ling Meifeng of Frankfurt had to take several different modes of transportation to get to her destination. Here's more. This year, the first Tzu Chi year-end blessing ceremony in Europe was held in Düsseldorf, Germany. To assist her counterparts, Tzu Chi volunteer Ling Meifeng sets out early in the morning from Frankfurt to Düsseldorf. However, her journey was full of obstacles. Due to the holiday season, the number of subway trains to the train station is limited. Knowing that she would not be able to catch her train, Lin was extremely worried. Luckily, her train was delayed. Although late for the ceremony, more than 40 participants are still extremely happy when they receive the blessing and wisdom red envelopes from Lin.
I once asked myself if I have the honor to receive a blessing and wisdom red envelope. I later decided to contact the Tzu Chi Germany office. I am extremely moved by today's event.
Tzu Chi volunteers across the globe are a part of this big family. The loving care of my counterparts always makes me want to come back to this big family.
At the end of the year-end blessing ceremony, many participants donated their filled bamboo coin banks to help the less fortunate. Furthermore, the volunteers in Düsseldorf even thoughtfully exchanged all the donated coins into bills, so Ling Meifeng doesn't have to carry coins back to the Tzu Chi office in Frankfurt. In the wake of Typhoon Haiyan, Tzu Chi volunteers' dedication in the Philippines have inspired many residents to join their ranks. At the recent volunteer training, 385 citizens were present, with 161 of them now proudly wearing the Tzu Chi white cap and gray uniform.
In Tacloban City, for these local volunteers, being awarded the Tzu Chi white cap in recognition of their status as a local volunteer is a moment they will never forget.
Wearing the white hat and gray uniform means that my responsibilities are heavier than ever. I must do my best to continue to work hard on behalf of Tzu Chi.
Of the 385 participants, only 161 qualified to receive a volunteer uniform. To receive a uniform, volunteers had to show a continued commitment to recycling, aid distribution, and volunteer training.
It is a dream come true to become a Tzu Chi volunteer. Although I'm old, I need to take advantage of this moment to help others. Thank you, Tzu Chi, for giving me the chance to do so.
Each new volunteer is a seed of goodness for communities metro-wide.
I discussed with my neighbors how Master Zheng Yan has asked us to donate 100 pesos every day. Doing so, we are planting fields of blessings.
In creating a loving relationship with the citizens of Tacloban, Tzu Chi volunteers have not only helped the city rebuild, but have changed countless minds and lives for the better.
We go to Japan at the end of the show, where Tzu Chi volunteers organize a total of 4 winter relief distributions for the homeless in Tokyo and Osaka. We'll leave you with these images. Thank you for tuning in. Goodbye.